What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Catchpolia sitting on the couch, making some money, investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. Today is Friday, so it is time for the 52-week challenge update. If you don't know what that is, there is a playlist on this channel for the 52-week challenge, and it's where several of us are just basically committing to buy at least one token, one property, one piece of something every single week for the next 52 weeks, or starting at the beginning of this year. Or you can start whenever you want. It's sort of just like an accountability group. We're just talking about what we're buying. Some people are doing it in the Discord, where there's a link to the Discord in the description to this video. Some people just send me messages. You can do that. You can do it in, just in the comments to this, however you want to do it. But it's sort of just a way to get past that analysis paralysis that a lot of new investors run into, where there's just so many things to buy. And just by committing to actually pull the trigger on something each week, it just helps. It's something. It's a tool I've used oftentimes in investing, and it's something. It's kind of fun to just share with other people as well. So anyway, this week, pretty active. I bought, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of 8 properties on Lofty. Some different ones than usual, and some of the same. And then 13 pieces of 13 notes on ground floor. So 13 notes, and so that brought me up to 130 total. And so that mostly came from just payoffs on here, and so now I've had 34 payoffs in total. 8 of which were ones that were extended prior to payoff. At the moment, I just have one extended one that's still outstanding. Nothing's gone in default yet. So ground floor's been just pretty stable for me, doing a good job. But let's jump into the properties. I'm going to go Odom. I'm pretty sure you've seen me talk about this one before. This is one of my largest holdings on Lofty. It was a midterm rental in Fort Worth. I've just been buying this purely from a valuation perspective. We've been in the process of trying to get it sold. We had a vote way back when I first started buying these, or very soon. And at this point in time, we're now pursuing a sale to Open Door. If that goes through anywhere near where they made the offer, it's going to be a very profitable deal for me. My average basis is right around where this market price is right now. I just, it's been one that, I don't know, hopefully that sale goes through and it'll be a nice little pop in my portfolio, and I'll have to redeploy that elsewhere. But, this is just one, like many of them that I'm invested in. It's just really based on the price of the token is, in my mind, way too cheap relative to the price of the asset in real life. And again, I want to always mention, before I forget, please like and subscribe. But more importantly, whenever you're, just because I'm buying some of these things doesn't mean that you should. You should do your own due diligence on all the platforms, and especially on each property that you invest in. If you look at the description of this video, there is a link to every platform that I'm currently investing in fractional real estate on. Some of them will give you some free money to get started. Some of them won't. But again, read all the terms and conditions, do your own diligence, and don't just do it because it's what I'm doing, right? Because I'll show you, I definitely make some mistakes. This is another one just been buying based, purely on the dips. It is not one that I think that we're going to sell anytime soon, though, because it is an occupied property. Yes, it's been occupied for a while, but they just are still in the process of filling the operating reserve, and so it hasn't been paying out anything because they're just accumulating some reserves with the cash flow each month. Pagewood, this is one I just bought a couple of tokens in this week. Every buy on this one moves the price more than on a lot of the other pools. I know I talked about this before. This is one that has one of the new liquidity pools, and that's if you're new to Lofty, that's how you're buying and selling these on the secondary market, is you're not buying them from the original seller. that you can do a market order and do instant buys by people put some tokens in what they call the liquidity pool. Somebody else puts some money in there, and so that you can buy and sell and interact with that. But they don't all act exactly the same. And this is one that every time I just buy a couple tokens, it moves the price a lot. So I'm just slowly accumulating when they go down. And it's another one that has a tenant in it, although I think this tenant might be moving out. But mostly just a valuation play again for me. Uh, this is one I've been buying for quite a while. When the pool opened, the price has gone down quite a bit, and so I had just been buying these with limit orders. Now getting to do some market orders, and so they're again I'm just buying just because there's been some really good dips, and just a few tokens in that one. This Sarah Ave one is one that I've owned for a while, but I picked up some additional tokens again because we had some really steep dips in the pricing. This is one that is currently managed by YHome or Yome, depending if you've heard someone say it or you're just reading it on the screen. This is, I believe, there will be a vote coming up soon to move to a different manager. There's also the tenant is expected to be moving out soon. I think that combination, I think there's four different things that could happen, right? We might move to a new manager, and they could do a better job. I think that they will, if that vote goes through, and I think that'll move this token price way up, and I'll just cash out then, or maybe just hold it and get a good yield. I think alternatively, while it's vacant, we might vote to sell it. This is often what's been happening with homes in some of these worse markets, and again, I think at my current average basis of somewhere around $20 per token, I think I'll do well with a real world sale of this one. This is a short-term rental in Austin I've been buying for a while. I actually have more tokens than this. The others are staked in the liquidity pool. It's one that was, paying yield for a little bit, and it's a short-term rental, so some months you're just not going to make money, and when that happens, the price tanks. And so to get a property like this in Austin at what I think is now a significant discount to the real world price of this, I've just been slowly buying tokens in this one too. This is one that when they initially brought it to market was already, is this the one I'm thinking of? Oh, maybe I'm talking about that. Yeah, I think when they originally brought this one to market, it was at an already discounted price to the appraisal. And so, getting another 20% off that, I just couldn't pass these up when these dipped below 40. I just picked up a few more. This is one you've seen me probably mention almost every single week. I've been buying tokens because they've been extremely cheap. It's one that we've been trying to sell on the, it's been listed with a realtor for a while. I think we just had a governance vote where we might lower the price again. But I actually asked a realtor friend of mine to go take a look at this, and I mean, not even someone who I know well, just somebody who I've interacted with quite a bit online, but is a realtor in this market. He ran right out, and the property's in worse condition than what I thought. So, like I said, I've made some mistakes on here. Probably some of my early buys on this. Could potentially lose money, even though it's so cheap. I think all of my more recent ones that are in the in around this price point will still be fine. But I think I started buying it around $20. So I don't know. This might end up being a loss. I really haven't had losses on Lofty yet. I think the Universal Lending DAO might turn out to be one. That's kind of up in the air what exactly is going on with it. But in general, I've just been, I've had a lot of good luck so far. Because and I think it's in large part just doing a lot of due diligence on every deal, making sure that I'm buying stuff that's a real, a good discount to the real world price. It's not to say none of them have dipped in price at all since I bought, but this is one where I think there's the potential that some of the tokens I bought in it were actually a premium to what we're going to end up selling it for. I don't know that for sure yet, but we'll have to figure that out when we get there. when they're in the low teens, I'll probably still continue to pick these up. But when they get in the high teens or 20s, I'm probably going to slow down on it until I get a little bit more clarity in what I think we're going to really sell that in the real world. And then this, I think, is the most interesting deal uh, going on Lofty right now. If you've been watching my channel since the beginning, my very first token where I could, Lofty sent the free $50 uh, gift card type thing where you could buy a token. This is the first one I bought. Um, I think right now I don't know if they've turned those back on or not yet. The free $50 tokens. They had paused that for quite a while. They mentioned it was supposed to come back in February. I don't think that happened. Um, I have one that I can't seem to use right now, so I think that they're still off. But at some point, I think those will be on again. But in any case, um, this is it's a commercial property that they raised money to buy, but didn't raise all the funds. There's still, I think, around $300,000 worth of tokens to sell out, and the initial contract has expired. But the sellers said, well, I'll still honor that price, or you can still move forward. But I guess because of the structure of this entity, until they finish raising all the funds, there's not like a mechanism for us to vote on it yet. And so they've just been slowly selling them out at $50 per token for, I think, close to 3 years now, maybe right around there. Um, but in any case, they just recently opened a liquidity pool for this. And so Lofty themselves has been paying a 6% return to anybody who's holding those tokens. They're just getting paid that 6% on a monthly basis. Well, now they opened a liquidity pool for this, right? And so it's really just an entity that's holding, close to $2 million in cash, that's getting a pretty high interest, or a decent interest rate on cash, right? It's 6%. Um, and some of these tokens popped up at like $33 because people are just selling into the pool. They're just trying to cash out. They've had their money stuck in there, um, for 2 or 3 years. I kind of understand. I mean, if they really need that money, or if they just don't believe they'll ever get it back. But um, for me, it's basically you have the opportunity to buy $50 in cash for 33 or $35 or whatever the discount is at the moment. Right now it's 39.70 plus fees. I've been buying it when it's a little cheaper. You can tell, I don't have a whole bunch yet, but every time there's been some dips, I've been trying to pick these up. Um, I think one, it's there's definitely some uncertainty, right? Like once they do raise all the funds, or are we actually going to go through and close on this? My sense is that we're not going to, at least not at the original contract price. It sounds like from all the discussion in the Discord about it, that they'll have a vote to try to renegotiate the contract, or to back out and just lose the earnest money and then just get paid back. And even in that scenario, the earnest money is not some huge sum of money. And so, relative to the discount that I'm getting on this. And so, if I buy it, if I buy $50 for $30, even if I have to wait 2 years, um, to get my money back for it to actually get paid out, I mean, that's an amazing deal, right? And so, whenever we see the dips here, I'll definitely be buying this. It's really strange because it's not real estate, right? This is just like a weird quirk, like, the way the founder of this company, he just kind of mentioned it as like, it's a one-off and it's an oddity, and it's like, um, they're just kind of stuck with it, and they don't think they have a way to get out of it, until they finish raising the money. But obviously, raising the money has slowed down quite a bit once people realize, oh, that we're not actually buying this property, or that we may not be. And at the current contract price, or at the expired contract price, this property is just it's way overpriced, and relative to today's prices. And so the expectation is we're not actually going to buy this. But then what happens So there's certainly a lot of uncertainty, but I think that one, even if we did buy this at what is too high of a price, where I've bought in with the discount on the tokens, I'd be perfectly fine, and I'd be perfectly happy with it. So I don't know. It's kind of an odd one, and so it's a new one that I haven't I haven't bought any of these since I figured out what the actual when I signed in and bought the first token. If you look at the property page, you don't know any of that stuff that I just talked about. I had to join the Discord, read about it, and understand what was going on from, the Lofty employees are in that Discord. There's people there talking about it. It comes up quite a bit, but it is, I don't know. I guess they don't want to put it on this page because it doesn't, it doesn't. I guess it just doesn't look great for them. But at the same time, I mean, I think a lot of people like me come to this site and say, "Ooh, I've never owned a McDonald's before. I'd like to own a pizza one. Let me throw my first token at that." So I don't know. In any case, it's one that whenever there's dips, I'll be buying. But it is, it's not one that I can really share a lot of insight as far as like due diligence on the asset. I did a video about it initially, looked at the leases. It was one of my very earliest ones. Um, Probably not really that detailed because I was doing much shorter videos, I think, initially. But I think it really doesn't matter because I don't think we're going to end up buying that asset, right? So it is very speculative, but at the same time, it's there's the potential for a really big return because of the disc, because if we just get cash back, it's like getting such a big profit on a cheap buy. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say about that. Please do share what you bought this week. Feel free to share in the comments. Join the Discord, share in there. As far as the when I say that Discord, I mean the generic fractional real estate investors Discord that I have in the link in the description. We've got a pretty active group in there talking about lofty properties, mogul properties, ground floor. I didn't mention mogul today. I didn't buy anything from mogul this week. I did a couple of videos on their new launch, but I decided not to buy that one. I think that's really it. Yeah, I shouldn't be doing this when I stayed up all night and it's 5 in the morning. I really apologize for the rambling. I think you probably expect it from me by now. Uh, and so that's it. Until next time, I'm going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.